15 Haunted and Sinister True Stories Exposed from Reddit, Spine-Chilling Tales of the Unexplained. Jenna clutched her son Tyler's hand as they stood before their new home in Maplewood. The quaint white house looked perfect, but as night fell, Jenna felt an unsettling whisper in the air. It was a dark place to start over, yet she hoped to build something new for Tyler. Little did she know, shadows lurked just beyond the window panes, waiting. Every creak of the floorboards at night echoed eerily through the silence. She could hear the wind howling like a lost soul. At work late at the diner, she'd often ride the bus home in the dark, the rumble of the vehicle sounding hollow against the thick night. She found herself glancing out at the dense trees lining the back of their property, feeling eyes on her. One evening, as Jenna tossed her trash outside, she noticed flickering lights in the windows of the abandoned school across the street. Wasn't it empty? She rubbed her arms, remembering the sinister stories she'd once read. A flicker, a shadow, a cold gust of air. Nervous laughter bubbled up as she tried to shake off the unease, but it gnawed at her. Then she discovered an online forum brimming with spine-tingling first-hand accounts of terror. Each tale recounted the eerie happenings that seemed oddly familiar. Ghostly children playing in dark hallways, shadows peering from trees. Hadn't they seen those shadows? The history of rituals spilled across her screen, her heart racing with each shocking detail. Maplewood had secrets that tangled like roots deep in the ground, dark stains pulsing beneath their feet. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With every disturbing story, Jenna felt the weight of dread settle over her like a thick fog. She reached out to her neighbors, trying to wrap herself in communal warmth. Mr. Thompson next door was friendly enough, but something felt off. His stories hinted at secrets too carefully guarded, like a smile hiding danger. What was he really saying? Tyler became infatuated with the darkness of their new home, sneaking off into the woods that loomed behind the house. Jenna lost track of him too often, but it was the sound that sent her heart racing. A piercing scream, sharp and shattering. It resonated through the trees, echoing her worst fears, and in a flash she bolted from her porch, thrumming heart echoing in her ears. The branches whipped at her like bony hands, the shadows twisting with malice as she raced forward. What waited in the darkness was no longer familiar. Breathless, she stumbled through the trees, an icy chill biting at her skin. The woods closed in, watching, waiting. Every shadow seemed alive now, surrounding her with whispers of lost souls. She turned back, desperation flooding her mind. And then, in the distance, the glow of the abandoned school flickered again, a pulse in the night. What happened within those walls? What secret lay behind the flickering lights? Jenna steeled herself, knowing she couldn't turn back. She had to face the truth or risk losing Tyler to the darkness creeping ever closer. The shadows stretched long as Jenna plunged deeper into the thicket, her breath coming in sharp gasps. The air felt heavy, clinging to her skin as if warning her to turn back. Tyler's scream still echoed in her mind, a high, raw sound that shattered the stillness of the night, sending shivers racing down her spine. She pushed onward, heart pounding, blindly following the twisting path that led deeper into the woods, each step filled with dread. The flickering light from the school pulsed like a heartbeat, rhythmic and unsettling. With every flicker, she could see fleeting images dance in her imagination. Children's faces laughing, their eyes bright and hollow. Was it real, or was it a cruel trick of her mind? Compelled by fear and a fierce instinct to protect her son, she steadied herself, focusing on the path ahead. The trees loomed tall, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. In the oppressive silence, Jenna swore she could hear whispered voices, soft and sinister. "Help us, help us." The words woven into the cool night air chilled her to the bone. She stumbled into a clearing, her senses heightened, scanning for any sign of Tyler among the looming shadows. And then she saw it, a figure darting into the edge of the woods, too small to be anything but her son. Relief mixed with terror surged through her as she called out, "Tyler!" Her voice broke the stillness, desperation lacing her tone. But the only response was the eerie rustling of leaves, almost mocking. Panic clawed at her throat as she stumbled forward. But before she could run, the ground beneath her feet shifted, turning her stomach into knots. A rising feeling of dread washed over her. She was not alone. From the darkness, a shape emerged. It was thin and elongated, its limbs moving too fluidly. Jenna's heart stopped as it slithered into the dim light cast by the school, its eyes glinting like shards of glass. It beckoned with a skeletal hand, the thumb extending in a grotesque mimicry of a wave. "Come play with us," it crooned, its voice a chilling echo of innocence. Frozen, Jenna felt all her instincts scream at her to run, to hide, to lock her doors and never look back. But what about Tyler? "Where is he?" Jenna shouted, the words tearing from her throat. The figure tilted its head, amusement dancing in its dead eyes. "This way." And with that, it turned, weaving through the underbrush as if it were all just a game. Stumbling over her own feet, Jenna raced after it, driven by fear of the unknown and the need to shield her son from whatever darkness loomed. The school loomed closer, its dark shape an ancient beast in a forgotten tale. The windows were cracked, shadows playing tricks on her mind. Footsteps echoed inside, a symphony of clicks and scuttles. Had she been wrong? Had she brought them into a trap? Finding the courage to step inside felt monumental, though every instinct screamed to turn back. As she crossed the threshold, the smell of damp earth hit her, heavy and suffocating. "Tyler!" Her voice rang through the eerie halls. The only answer was silence that cut like a knife, each second stretching into eternity. But then a soft giggle floated from down the hall. It echoed strangely, sending a ripple of confusion through her. Just as she steadied herself to follow the sound, all the lights in the school abruptly flickered off, plunging her into darkness. She frantically searched for her phone, lighting the corner of the room with its dim glow. In the shadows, she saw movement, a swirl of pale faces peering at her, children with eyes wide and unblinking. "Come, play," they whispered in unison, a spine-chilling chant. But as fear rooted her to the spot, Jenna never imagined that the true horror lay not in the abandoned school, but in the choice she would be forced to make. Would she follow her son into that nightmare? As she took a step back, ready to run, the laughter grew louder and the figures closed in. The laughter surged, a cacophony of innocent glee twisted by something darker. Jenna's heart pounded wildly in her chest. She felt as if the walls themselves were closing in on her. The classroom doorways, once empty, now brimmed with staring faces, children with eyes that glimmered like polished stones. They crowded closer, circling around her like a storm ready to converge. "Tyler!" She screamed again, voice cracking, desperation clawing at her throat. The shrill giggle from the darkness seemed to mock her, pulling her deeper into the mire of terror. The figures pressed in, their movements fluid, almost dreamlike, yet dread seeped from their presence. They swayed gently, as if to an unheard melody. "Come play," they chimed, but their voices sounded serpentine, as though each word carried venom with it. Jenna fought her instinct to flee. What choice did she have? The specter she'd seen beckoning was not the true threat. The trap had been laid here in the shadows. She whipped around, lighting the room with her cell phone once more, searching frantically for a sign of her son among those deathly faces. "Tyler, where are you?" Panic pooled in her stomach, mixing with the hot anger blooming in her chest. She couldn't lose him. Not now. Not ever. The flickering light bathed the hallway in uncertain shadows. Behind her, the figures seemed to disperse into the dark corners, only to re-emerge in a blink, teasing her with their prancing movements. Each moment felt like an eternity, and every flicker of light danced like it was alive, mocking her. Suddenly, a tugging sensation pulled at her sleeve. Jenna gasped, spinning around. It was one of the pale children, a girl with wild hair and a grin that sent ice down her spine. "Come play with us, Jenna," she cooed, offering a hand. "We can have so much fun." The air grew thick, whispers rippling around her, weaving through her mind, trapping her in a net of fear. "Help!" she wanted to cry, but the words stuck in her throat. She began to feel like she was being swallowed whole, the shadows stretching towards her, eager to close their grasp. "Tyler, please!" she shouted into the darkness, willing him to hear her. The laughter quieted, hanging in the air like a heavy curtain, then shifted, turning into a single child's voice, recognizable yet haunting. "Mom?" A whisper trailed around her, barely audible, as if it were coming from beneath the floorboards. Jenna's breath hitched. It was him. "Mom, I'm scared." Without thinking, Jenna ran past the child, towards the source of his voice. With each rushed step, the children around her snapped back, recoiling as if she were fire. A doorway appeared ahead, seemingly leading to a classroom filled with more shadows. "Tyler!" she screamed again, her heart racing, longing to scoop him up and flee this nightmare. Just as she reached out for the door handle, the lights blared back on, flooding the corridor with a harsh, blinding light. The classroom door swung wide, and there he stood. Tyler, unharmed but pale, his little body trembling. "Mom!" he cried, relief washing over his face as he rushed toward her. But as she wrapped her arms around him, Jenna felt a chill wash over her. The door shifted behind them. The ominous whispers crescendoed, now intermingled with that serpentine laughter, echoing their sinister invitation. "Join us! Join us!" Terrified, Jenna pulled Tyler closer, peering into the hallway. Shadows clawed at the walls like desperate hands. Faces flickered back to life, children shifting and filling her with unrelenting dread. She knew they wouldn't let her go easily. What had she stumbled into? The darkness was here, alive, and it wanted more than just their presence. It craved their souls, their joy. As they prepared to turn and run, the screams echoed again from the shadows, but this time it wasn't Tyler who was calling for help. "Mom!" The voice was deeper, echoing with a strained intensity. Jenna felt her blood run cold. What was happening to her boy? She faced the angry thunder of shadows. "No!" she shouted, shaking, overwhelmed by the thickening dread. But as the creatures surged around her and Tyler, their forms growing ever more grotesque, she couldn't escape the chilling realization. The darkness would claim one of them. With time slipping away and the shadows pressing closer, Jenna knew only one thing. She had to make the ultimate choice to save her son, but the cost may be more than she was willing to pay. Would she risk everything to protect him, or let the darkness have its way? The air crackled as she formed her decision, the whispers rising again, demanding the inevitable sacrifice. With the room buzzing around them, the charm of the children shattered like fragile glass. Jenna tightened her grip on Tyler, desperate to shield him from the growing chaos. But the walls around them pulsed, the laughter merging into a single horrific chorus that seemed to recognize their fear. "Let go of him!" she barked at the empty eyes staring back at her, her voice unwavering against the mounting dread. The children's features twisted, their giggles morphing into guttural growls that made her skin crawl. "Join us!" echoed through the corridor once more, a command wrapped in haunting melody. The shadows flickered, pulsating with energy, as if feeding on her terror, their form growing denser, hungrier. "Run!" Jenna shouted, urgency fueling her words. The moment they turned, the once light hallway transformed into an abyss, the familiar path now a labyrinth of despair. The laughter intensified, swirling around them, stinging her ears like shards of glass. Jenna steered Tyler toward the nearest exit, a door marked with faded paint and unfortunate memories. The icy grup of dread clawed at her throat as they stumbled through the threshold, echoing footsteps bleeding into the darkness behind them. "What's happening, Mom? I don't like this," Tyler cried, his voice tiny and fragile, exposed to the icy foreboding closing in around them. "Just hold on tight," she replied, feeling her heart pound a frantic rhythm as they dashed through the room, which was now filled with dusty desks and remnants of forgotten lessons. The stench of decay permeated the air, pushing her towards panic. As they reached the far end, Jenna whipped around, expecting the shadowy figures to be mere steps behind. Instead, she gasped. The classroom was empty. No children, just the dim light flickering ominously overhead. "Mom?" Tyler's voice trembled, pulling her back from the edge of despair. Just as she turned to reassure him, a chill swept through the room, the air thick with anticipation. Jenna felt the unmistakable thrill of being watched creeping over her, each hair on her body standing alert. Then the laughter bounced back, now echoing from all sides, an unholy choir booming above them. The wails began to grow louder, trailing off into eerie silence, as if waiting for a performer to grace the stage. Jenna's breath hitched. She raised her cell phone, its feeble light cutting through the darkness. And there they were, the children, no longer dreamlike figures. They stood in a line, shadows interwoven with form, but this time their eyes glowed, the malevolent sparkle of predators. "Mom, I'm scared," Tyler whimpered, inching closer, seeking comfort against her trembling frame. "Shh," she whispered, urgently scanning the room for an escape, but all exits seemed to vanish into walls of inky blackness. "Join us," they all chimed in unison, the haunting resonance of their voices weaving through her mind, tugging at her sanity. But among the chorus, another voice broke through, the deep, strained call echoing Tyler's earlier plea. It echoed a plea of despair, distorted and far off. Jenna's heart dropped. The familiar warmth of her son receded in the face of this lurking horror. "No, Tyler, we have to—" But the moment she turned back to him, he had vanished. "Tyler!" she screamed, panic surging through her like wildfire consuming a dry forest. The shadows thickened, constricting her vision, whispering promises of what would come if she surrendered. The children's hands reached out, phantoms grasping for the warmth of life. Frantic, Jenna raced ahead, hands brushing against the walls, her fingers trembling, wanting anything but that cold grip of the shadowy beings. She stumbled upon a mirror hanging in the center of the room, its reflective surface twisting and swirling like a portal to a different world. "Mommy?" A faint voice called from within, that heartbreaking tone infiltrating the chaos, sending it swirling downwards. With dread pooling in her gut, Jenna stepped closer, her heart pounding violently against her ribcage. In that moment, every instinct screamed for her to resist the temptation. But with Tyler's voice echoing around her, a silent promise tugged at her. She had to choose. Could she dare to look deeper into the mirror? What awaited her within was a riddle of shadows and light, and Jenna knew she might unearth something terrifying, or worse, something she could never return from. But which would be the greater sacrifice? As she reached for the glass, the last traces of laughter dissipated, leaving only Tyler's voice behind, ringing louder and more desperate, faint but clear. "Mom, please don't go." What choice did she have? What truth lay behind the veil of terror she had entered? The answer awaited her at the mirror's edge, but in accepting, would she lose everything? In that moment, suspended in horror, the air grew suffocatingly thick. The door behind them slammed shut, sealing their fate. The mirror surface shimmered, its depth seems endless. Jenna's reflection danced with uncertainty, shadows eclipsing the familiar outline of her figure. Tyler's plea echoed in her mind, piercing through the haze of horror surrounding her. She had to act. In the silence that ensued, time felt suspended. Every heartbeat echoed like a ticking clock towering over her sanity. As she leaned closer, her breath fogged the chilled glass, casting a fleeting veil of reality. Behind the mirror, the world shifted. The classroom faded into an eerie limbo, a dimension caught between their present terror and something much darker. It felt alive, curling fingers beckoning, promising safety, but at a price. "Mommy!" The voice morphed again, laced with urgency. "Tyler!" she screamed, the sound echoing against the desolate walls of the classroom. But the laughter returned, mocking her, a wave of chilling sound that reverberated deep within her bones. Suddenly, the shimmering of the mirror morphed into scenes from her past, memories replaying with suffocating clarity. Her father's kind smile, the sound of her mother's soft humming, birthday parties decorated with smiles long forgotten. Then, darker memories twisted in, the haunting moments of loss, shadows stretching across the mind, while the gleeful laughter morphed into shrieks of despair. She felt pulled like a marionette on strings tangled in sorrow. Jenna's heart raced as the mirror began to flicker and waver, memories writhing like contorted figures in the shadows. She snapped her head back, alone once more in the now dim classroom. Fear clawed at her, her instincts screamed for escape, but the echoes of the past wrapped around her like a noose. She could turn back, run, but what if that meant leaving Tyler to the whims of whatever this place had in store for him? The children's chorus was building again, stronger, eager. "Join us." Gritting her teeth, Jenna returned her gaze to the mirror, a flimsy lifeline in a world flowing with darkness. What would she find if she dared to see? Was it her son behind there, or an illusion tailored to drag her into madness? Time stretched, a constant thrum, each pulse tethering her closer to some destined confrontation. Then a sudden chill coalesced behind her, icy breath touching her shoulder. A shiver of pure terror washed over Jenna, her fight-or-flight instinct flaring. She spun around, arms raised instinctively, breath hitched in her throat. Empty space stared back at her, yet the shadows seemed more alive, swirling with hunger. "Mom!" It was Tyler again, but not just a voice this time. Shadows pulled him partially into view, his form distorted, an echo of his true self. The familiar warmth of his being twisted into a ghostly resemblance, already fading. "Don't let them take you," she screamed, despair fueling every fiber of her being. With a surge of energy, Jenna lunged for the mirror as the shadows clawed upward from the floor, desperate to trap her and Tyler in their suffocating embrace. She pressed her palm against the glass. Shock coursed through her when her hand met only slight resistance, as if it fought back against her. In that moment, everything cracked, the reality around her spiraling into chaos. The children reappeared, shapes swirling in an ethereal dance, hands outstretched, pulling at her sanity. They too were distorted echoes, lifeless forms trapped in a nightmare. Their laughter hung like a noose, suffocating and endless. "Join us," they chanted once more, but Tyler's form wriggled between her grasp and the shadows. Mustering every ounce of courage, Jenna cried out, "I will save you, Tyler!" She would fight, even as terror threatened to collapse around her like a house of cards. In a flash of light, everything erupted. The mirror shattered while the room quaked, and Jenna felt herself being torn through a vortex of dreams and nightmares. And as she felt herself slipping into that shimmering void, the last thing she glimpsed was Tyler's terrified face, hauntingly distorted behind the fragments of glass. Would she free him, or would she be lost forever? Fear screamed through her heart as she fell into the unknown depths. What lay beyond that fractured reflection awaited them, and she knew whatever they found on the other side, it would demand a greater sacrifice than she could ever imagine. White light enveloped Jenna, a swirl of energy and despair, as if time itself had folded into an abyss. Her vision blurred, an intense pressure clawing at her mind. When she landed, the world around her darkened, suffocating her senses in an instant. The air was thick with dread. A cold mist slithered through her fingers, the remnants of something unholy lingering everywhere. Shadows danced at the edge of her sight, flitting in and out of focus, teasing her with glimpses of a familiar landscape twisted beyond recognition. She was in a classroom, much like the one before, but it was tainted, stained with echoes of torment. "Tyler!" she shouted, her voice swallowed by the chilling silence. Every heartbeat pounded against her chest, desperate to break through the shadows. She strained to listen. The subtle rustle of the fog slithering through corners felt like whispers calling her name. Visions flickered, delayed memories of laughter, then sudden screams, as though time had become unhinged. Turning slowly, she spotted a cluster of figures in the distance, distorted shapes peering at her through the haze, their twisted features merging into grotesque masks of familiarity. The children, their anguished faces wreathed in shadows, stood motionless, eyes wide and hollow, as if they contained the very essence of despair. "I can help you," Jenna called, fear threading through her words. It felt wrong, pleading to the lost. Every instinct in her screamed to run, yet she was anchored, rooted in that moment. They began to swirl, circling around her, and an unbearable pressure built up in her chest. "Help?" a voice crooned sweetly, mocking her. "Or join us?" "No!" She recoiled from the resonating echoes of their laughter, a cacophony laced with malice. It twisted into her thoughts, like vines tightening around her heart. "Tyler!" Panic surged anew. "Where are you?" Her voice cracked, desperation clawing at her senses. Silence followed, stretched tight as a wire ready to snap. Then, just beyond her peripheral vision, a flicker of movement. A small figure emerged, fighting against the icy veil of shadow. It was him. "Mom!" Tyler's voice cut through the murky gloom. His outline was faint, wreathed in tendrils of darkness, struggling like a candle in a storm. "Help me!" Without thinking, she lunged forward, forcing her way toward the fading image of her son. The closer she got, the more the shadows clawed at her, wrapping around her legs, threatening to pull her. "Don't let them take you!" she screamed, desperate for Tyler's warmth, his laughter. Instead, fingers of emptiness grasped her, scratching at her resolve, sapping her strength. "Join us!" The children's voices beckoned again, elongating the words hauntingly. "Join us!" "No!" Jenna fought against the pull. She could not succumb to their twisted world, to the dread that hung thick as tar. But every breath became harder. Her vision began to blur once more, as the darkness pressed in, squeezing, suffocating. "Mom, please!" Tyler's form flickered, the despair in his voice anchoring her back to reality. She couldn't lose him. She wouldn't. With a guttural roar, she pushed against the shadows. In that brief moment, something splintered. Jenna suddenly felt warmth rising within her. It ignited her determination, a fire against the suffocating darkness. She reached out toward Tyler, the burning light within her becoming a beacon of hope. "Hold on, Tyler, I'm coming for you." But as she grasped at the tendril of his presence, pain surged through her like ice water. The shadows shrieked as the light coursed through them, but it came with a price. Every ounce of her strength felt like it was being drawn away, siphoned by the very darkness she fought against. "Mom!" The plea echoed through the chaos, but his figure faded, drifting back into the void, and a chilling laughter erupted all around her. In that terrifying moment, Jenna understood the truth. To save Tyler, she might have to become part of this nightmare herself. What sacrifice would she make to reach him? As darkness enveloped her once more, she realized escaping would demand a far greater price than she was ready to pay. Jenna gasped as she felt the oppressive darkness tighten its grip around her soul. Panic surged, igniting her heart with a frantic rhythm. "No, no," she murmured, desperation spilling from her lips like water from a cracked vase. She had to push through, had to find Tyler. The laughter of the children echoed, sharp as glass shards. It filled the classroom, mingling with Tyler's fading cries. Shadows writhed around her, shapes morphing into grotesque figures, their eyes dark wells of torment. She stumbled back, the ground beneath her slick with an unseen layer of despair. "Please, I won't let you take him." Her voice trembled, wavering on the edge of madness. "Join us," the chorus taunted again, the words curling around her like smoke. A chilling breeze raked through the room, raising the hairs on her arms. Each breath tasted of ash, thickening in her throat, threatening to choke her. Somewhere, deep within the swirling darkness, she felt that spark of warmth, the fierce love for her son. It sent a demand coursing through her veins. She fought, her fists clenched, darkness clawing at her, whispering secrets she didn't want to know. "Hold on, Tyler!" she screamed once more, her voice cracking, desperate. As if responding, a sliver of light pierced through the shadows, a glimmer that felt like hope, a lifeline. But the light seemed distant, flickering like a candle battling against a gale. Jenna focused on it, willing her body to obey, to surge forward. "Tyler, just hold on!" She could feel the warmth draining, but it transformed into strength. She pushed forward, each step a battle against the grasp of the dark. The children swirled around her, their laughter morphing into shrieks, echoing an anguished symphony. She wanted to cover her ears, but the sound penetrated every fiber of her being, whispering promises of comfort and despair. "Join us." With each step, she clawed back the shadows. Bright memories of Tyler fueled her resolve. "Mom! Mom!" His voice called, stronger now, but just as quickly it dimmed. The cruel laughter of the shadows curled back into the void. "Join us. Become one of us." "No!" Jenna screamed, rage boiling over. In a fleeting moment of clarity, she surged forward, summoning every last vestige of light within her. The classroom erupted. Walls crumbled, shadows shrieked, and the very air vibrated ominously. The warmth spread through her, radiating from her heart, branch-like tendrils reaching out toward the flicker of Tyler's form. But just as she reached for him, a piercing pain tore through her body. Something clawed at her from behind, a sharp, gnawing sensation like icy fingers ripping through her flesh. She gasped, struggling to stay upright, as agony threatening to pull her under. "Please," Tyler's voice was trembling now, panic lacing his words. "Don't let them take you." The flicker of light in the void dimmed further. Jenna's heart twisted. I won't," she breathed, focusing on that warmth deep inside. She was not just fighting for herself, she was fighting for him. With a primal roar, she thrust her hand forward, pushing through the darkness as her vision began to blur. "I will always find you." Suddenly, everything snapped. The shadows drew back, as if repelled by the force of her love. The darkness writhed, but Jenna saw her son, clearer now, the light around him growing brighter. "Mom!" he shouted again, more intense this time, as if recognizing her determination. But then the laughter rose again, dark and triumphant. "Your sacrifice is only beginning." As the room shifted and contorted around her, Jenna felt herself being swept away, not toward Tyler, but down into a deeper darkness, a chasm calling out to her very essence. What will she have to face at the end of this descent? Would Tyler be waiting for her, or would the chasm claim her soul? In the rising void, one question burned fiercely. How much darkness could she embrace to save the light she loved? Jenna fell, swallowed by the darkness. The weight of despair wrapped around her, squeezing tighter with each desperate gasp. Her heart palpitated violently, and her mind raced. What next? The silence screamed back, echoing the laughter she'd tried to escape. The descent felt eternal, like diving into an endless abyss. Unseen hands clawed at her, trying to pull her deeper. Into their cold, suffocating embrace. She could feel their icy fingers brushing against her skin, a disembodied touch that sent shivers coursing through her body. A sharp intake of breath filled her lungs with the rotten stench of decay. "Tyler!" she cried out, but the name disintegrated in the air, swallowed whole by the void. Suddenly, a shimmer of light flickered far below her. Was it Tyler? Was it her only way out? Fueled by every ounce of her love, Jenna strained against the darkness, reaching with outstretched hands towards that glimmering hope. As she descended further, the laughter morphed into whispers, cold and mocking, caressing her ears with the secrets of the damned. "You'll never escape." "No!" she screamed defiantly, her voice cracking under the pressure. It echoed as if the shadows were feeding off her terror, reviving their ghastly symphony, growing louder, sharper. Then the ground beneath her shattered. Jenna landed hard, the jarring impact knocking the air from her lungs. Gasping, she looked up to find herself in a twisted version of the classroom she had fled. The walls bled shadows, dripping down in thick, tar-like streams. Desks stood overturned, their surfaces etched with dreadful hieroglyphs of despair. Feral eyes peered at her from the corners. The children, their faces, once innocent, contorted into grotesque masks of hunger and anger. "You left us," one hissed, its voice dripping with malice. "No, I came to save you!" Jenna's heartbeat thundered in her ears, but even she could hear the doubt in her own voice. As much as she wanted to save them, shadows of uncertainty gnawed at her will. "Join us," they chorused, their voices a haunting lull that threatened to lull her into submission. She realized the truth. The very darkness she battled was alive, a sentient force feasting on her fear. Then, in the distance, she heard it, the faintest cry. "Mom!" Tyler's voice cut through the cacophony. "Tyler!" Rage simmered in her throat. It ignited her instincts, feasting on the shadow's fear. "I won't let you take him!" The children shrieked, their laughter turned into shrill wails that pierced through the air like daggers. Shadows converged, swirling like a storm around her. She had to fight. They were trying to overwhelm her, drown her in despair. "With love, I resist," she declared, feeling that warm glow reignite inside her, flickering but steady. But as she reached for that flickering light, a dreadful weight shackled her feet, pulling at her core. "Feel the weight of the choice," a voice slithered through her mind, dark and seductive. The chasm of darkness yawned, inviting her to surrender, to succumb to the ease of oblivion. "Never!" Jenna roared, ripping her foot free, feeling the darkness retreat just enough to reveal an escape. The flicker of Tyler's form beckoned her, more visible now amidst the swirling chaos. Once more, she lunged forward, determined to reach him. But the shadows reformed, blocking her path, laughing, crowing over their victory. Each step felt heavier than the last, and her vision began to blur as despair clawed at her throat. "Mom?" Tyler's voice quavered, filled with fear. The darkness tightened its hold as it whispered promises of freedom through submission. Jenna's breath hitched. Was this the end? Would she lose everything she fought for? As the shadows converged around her like a swarm, an understanding pierced through the fog. "I won't join you!" she shouted, breaking through their grasp in sheer defiance. With those final words, she charged, ready to confront the darkness head-on. As the shadows screamed in fury, Jenna pushed forward, desperate to reclaim her son. But would this final act of defiance unleash the true horror of the darkness within? Jenna's pulse quickened as terror gripped her. Was this the moment she would finally see what awaited at the heart of the darkness? Would Tyler still be her beacon, or had she awakened something far worse? Each heartbeat echoed with uncertainty as the shadows closed in. The shadows surged forward, swallowing everything around Jenna. A near suffocating thickness wrapped around her, and through its obscurity, fleeting visions flickered. A glimpse of Tyler, a look of pure terror on his face, his eyes wide, almost pleading. "Mom, help!" His shriek sliced through the turmoil, igniting an inferno of determination within her. Jenna stumbled, her heart pounding, each beat echoing like a war drum. She pushed forward as if propelled. The reality shifted, the classroom morphing into a bizarre nightmare. Walls warped, the children's faces melted away, leaving behind nothing but hollow sockets that absorbed her light. They moved like shadows, darting to block her path. "You can't leave us!" they screeched, their laughter merging into a cacophony that threatened to drown her sanity. "Mommy, you can't run from us!" "I am not your mommy!" Jenna screamed back, shaking her head as if to shake off their voices. They scratched at her mind, desperate and deranged. The walls began to close in, pressing against her, a suffocating grip that made her breath quicken. But then another sound pierced through, the faint whimper of Tyler. She flung herself towards it, every part of her screaming, "I'm coming, baby!" With that, she barreled through them, the darkness recoiling like it had been struck. Briefly, she caught a glimpse of that shimmering light radiating from Tyler, a beacon in this endless horror. She surged forward, the shadows clawing ineffectually at her heels. "Tyler!" she shouted again, feeling surges of courage breaking through doubt. The seductive whispers lessened. Just as she reached a corner, shadows writhing around her like a feeding swarm, she felt something cold latch onto her ankle. Ice crept up her leg, root-like fingers wrapping tightly around her, a binding from which escape seemed impossible. "No! Get away!" Frantic, Jenna kicked at the darkness, but it pulled harder, dragging her down. Breathing heavily, she locked her eyes on the glimmer of Tyler, desperate and so close, yet so far. "Mom!" His voice trembled, and the anguish in it cut deeper than the darkness ever could. The shadows around her twisted and writhed, conformity striking terror in her heart. What were they waiting for? "Join us," they hissed, their malice lingering in the air. Jenna felt her resolve slacken, a part of her wanting to give in, to let the darkness cradle her in its embrace. No, she fought against the numbing chill invading her heart. Love is the answer. Love is my strength. As her mantra erupted, the icy grip softened, her resolve igniting a warmth against the encroaching cold. Tyler's form became clearer, flickering like a candle in a storm, desperate for his mother's warmth. The shadows wailed, tormented by her defiance. They writhed and twisted, their anger palpable. With a new burst of adrenaline, Jenna clawed her way forward, pulling each leg free from their grasp as she stumbled toward Tyler. She saw him now, caught in a net of shadows, a ghostly barrier holding him captive. "Hold on, Tyler!" Jenna screamed, her voice raw from her fight. She stretched out her hands, channeling all her love into that moment, every memory of laughter and safety binding them together. Just as her fingers connected with his, a thunderous crack echoed like a gunshot, rupturing the air. The space around them trembled violently, and the shadows shrieked, unraveling like a frayed fabric, retreating from the light of their connection. But in that moment of triumph, a piercing laugh reverberated, chilling her to the bone. "You think you can take him," the voice taunted, laced with venom. "You have no idea." Jenna felt the ground shift, a quaking malevolence rising beneath her. Fear surged as she held Tyler tight, but a distant part of her wondered, what lay ahead if they managed to escape this storm? Would the darkness let them go, or would it only bide its time, waiting for their next slip into despair? With the shadows closing around them, Jenna braced herself for what was about to come. Would their bond truly protect them, or would this be just the beginning of a far worse nightmare? The shadows swirled like a tempest, their chaotic forms morphing into grotesque faces, reflecting unending despair. Rage surged through Jenna, bolstered by the bright essence of her son. She clutched Tyler to her, his warmth igniting a fierce determination within her heart. They were not just fighting for survival, they were battling for the light in their lives, a rare and precious bond distorted by the forces that sought to tear them apart. "Stay close," Jenna shouted, urgency lacing her voice as the malevolent laughter crescendoed around them. She refused to let fear drive them apart, forcing her trembling legs to move forward, pulling Tyler behind her. Together, they plunged into the morass of shadows, visions twisting in and out of focus. But Jenna kept her eyes locked onto the flickering light that signified hope. With each step deeper into that darkness, she channeled the strongest memory she had, the pure, unadulterated love she held for her son. "I will always fight for you," she vowed, the words barely escaping her trembling lips. As they pressed through the shrouded corridor, darkness lashed at them with icy fingers, but she felt the warmth from Tyler pulsing against her side. His very heartbeat was an electric reminder that love was their shield against all this horror. Suddenly, the malevolent laughter twisted into howls of anger, rippling through the choking darkness. "You think love will save you?" the voice taunted, cold as iron. "You have no idea what we will take from you." "Shut up!" Jenna roared, defiance erupting in her chest. The shadows recoiled, their faces morphing into contorted grimaces of fury. They clawed and scratched at the walls, desperate to reclaim their hold on the two of them. But the brilliance of Jenna's resolve shone through, illuminating the path ahead. They broke through to a sepulchre-like space, where space warped into something resembling the classroom they had just fled, but horrifyingly different. The walls writhed, covered in patterns of despair. Every scratch etched a new memory of children lost to the void. "No, this ends now!" Jenna shouted, locking eyes with the figures that surrounded them. They gathered like a dark storm, preparing for a final onslaught. "You stay back," she commanded, gathering every ounce of strength as she tightened her grip on Tyler. "Make your choice. Join us or lose him forever." A chorus of whispers echoed, trying to burrow into her mind. Jenna took a steadying breath. "This is my choice," she shouted. "I choose love." As the words left her mouth, a brilliant light pulsed from her heart, washing over Tyler. In their fiery glow, Jenna stepped forward, surrounding Tyler with her unwavering light. "We will not lose each other. Not now, not ever." As if pushed by her words, a brilliant wave of warmth cascaded outward, engulfing the torment echoing throughout the shadows. The illusion of lost children began to waver, their twisted figures flickering like candle flames caught in a wind. The bitter laughter drowned in a flood of defiance. The shadows began to flicker and shrink, retreating from the radiance of their love. "Run!" Jenna hollered into the encroaching dark, urgency fueling her adrenaline as they dashed past the retreating figures. Shadows shrieked in fury, desperately clawing at them, but Jenna pushed on, feeling Tyler's small hand in hers. "Mom, I'm right here!" he cried, the innocence in his voice lending her strength. The shadows, driven mad by their refusal to join them, lashed out with wild abandon, but Jenna swatted them aside with the brilliance of their bond. A fierce determination surged through her. All she had to do was get them both back. They rushed forward, the specters howling in protest as they reached an opening that felt like a breath of fresh air. Jenna charged ahead, pulling Tyler from the clutches of the shadows, her focus solely on escape. Right as they reached what seemed to be a threshold, into the light, gusts of wind ripped around them. The darkness laughed one last time, a chilling reminder of its insatiable hunger. "You can't run forever. You'll always fall back into our grasp." But she wouldn't let that weight of fear sink in. "We'll find a way," Jenna shouted defiantly, and with that, they slipped through into a blinding white light. The bright light swallowed them whole, washing over them like a cleansing wave. They tumbled through it, feeling the rush of warmth spread through their souls. Then, just like that, everything faded. Jenna opened her eyes, dazed at first. The familiar granite walls of her kitchen stood before her. The golden sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the space. She was home. The air smelled fresh and clean, not the dank chill of torment she had escaped. "Mom?" Tyler's voice echoed softly from next to her. She turned to see him sprawled on the floor, blinking as if awakening from a terrible dream. "Tyler!" Jenna enveloped him in a tight embrace, relief flooding over her like soothing balm. "I thought I lost you." Tears drawn from fear and love streamed down her face. He looked up at her, wide-eyed and innocent. "No, Mom, we're okay." His voice was steady, filled with awe. There had been no shadows, no laughter, just their home, safe in the bright glow of morning. In that moment, they both understood. The darkness would always linger at the edges. It thrived on fear, waiting for a moment of doubt. But together, with love as their shield, they would never let it win. They had found each other again, and that strength would always guide their way. As they embraced, the day stretched before them, wide with promise. In a world filled with shadows, they were each other's light. If you've been captivated by Jenna and Tyler's story, you need to subscribe now and ensure you don't miss any more spine-chilling tales coming your way. Smash that like button now to keep this talk alive. Every click feeds the algorithm. Don't wait even one more second. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this ending. What would you do if you faced those shadows? And please share this video instantly with at least 5 friends. You'll be doing them a favor by introducing them to this thrilling journey. Only true fans like you understand the importance of supporting the channel. Join the community and let's keep unraveling these eerie stories together.